You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Thank you for coming to the Village of Wappinger Falls monthly regular meeting of the Mayor and the Board of Trustees for today, Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any announcements, special events, or recognitions, Clerk?
Not to my knowledge, Mayor.
Okay. Then we can do roll call.
Mayor Sereno. Trustee Sadati.
Here.
Trustee Tilishek.
He is sick.
Absent. Trustee Nesnet.
Here.
Trustee Hubert.
Present.
Trustee Ruffin.
Here.
Trustee Lauricella.
Here.
Village Attorney Wallace.
Here.
Can I have a motion to accept the minutes? August 10th, Village Board meeting. August 25th, second monthly Village Board meeting. August 30th, special Village Board meeting.
Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Who's that?
That was Trustee Niznik and Trustee Ruffin, second.
Authorization to pay bills as approved warrants.
Excuse me, Clerk, there's a need to vote on that.
All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Authorization to pay bills as per approved warrants.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
That's for this one.
I made the motion. Second.
Pat did it?
Yes.
Legal notice. Notice of a public hearing, Village of Wappingers Falls. Notice is hereby given that the Village Board of the Village of Wappingers Falls will conduct a public hearing on the 14th day of September 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Village Hall, Village of Wappingers Falls, 2582 South Avenue, Wappingers Falls, New York, at which time all parties and interests and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard regarding the draft Village Comprehensive Plan. Can I have a motion to open the hearing?
I'll make the motion. Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
The hearing is now officially open. How did you want to do this, Mayor?
Anybody who has, I guess you want to have some
I'd like to do a little intro for that.
introduction from Tom.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees. Good evening. Michael Clusters. Okay, what I wanted to do was just kind of give a little intro concerning the proposed comprehensive plan. Did a little research. The last time we had a comprehensive plan, it was adopted March 14th, 2001. So our current plan is over 21 years old. A lot has happened in this village just in the last 5 years, no longer 21 years. The planning board, this board here, the village board, had sent it to the planning board for some comments. I did send an email to everybody yesterday. Hope you had a chance to take a look at that. Those are the highlights, and I'll touch briefly on them before we start. Okay, the planning board has reviewed the comprehensive plan, and we discussed it in our open meeting just the beginning of the month. The result of that is the planning board is strongly in favor of this new comprehensive plan and excited about the future of the village. This plan it supports not only just the current and trying to preserve what we have, but also to position the village to move forward with different a consideration to seek basis for orderly, consistent, and predictable land use, also to facilitate quality development throughout the village. We also want to develop attractive and prosperous neighborhoods for everyone, built on the ideas and guidance of many of the participants in the planning process. The planning board is just one group that is submitting comments on this comprehensive plan. We also have tonight's public hearing. There'll be other public hearings. The County of Dutchess is also in review of the comprehensive plan. So it's for the village board to be able to take a look at all this information when it comes back and use that in their determination on moving forward with this plan. Okay, the village planning board has recommended some priorities out of the comprehensive plan to be included in the executive summary. And I'll just touch briefly on those items here. One is, the number one priority is to, once a comprehensive plan is adopted, then the village board should align their zoning codes to match and support it. And as such, that's our number one recommendation from a priority standpoint, is that on completion of the comprehensive plan, that the zoning code be updated to reflect the final version of the comprehensive plan based on all the input from the public as well as the county and planning board. The second is to modernize and improve the village communications through the website and social media. Right now, we've got some feedback that it's been challenging to try to navigate the current website, and it would be a great place to have like a virtual village. So we really need to do some focus on that. The planning board recommends to restore the Wappingers Lake, both for recreation as well as environmental purposes. Number four, we want to improve the overall aesthetic character of the village. Ensure that all the building department has the resources it needs to enforce codes and to address properties that are in disrepair. Number five is to preserve and enhance the historic character. The greatest contribution is the unique quality of the village, is the historic nature of it. We also want to suggest that in item number 6, enhance walkability and bicycle safety. As we all are aware, our village streets usually have people that like to drive a little faster than the speed limits. And we would like to recommend that we focus on traffic calming devices and also pedestrian and bicycle safety. And our seventh is to continue the revitalization of Main Street and the Bleachery, because the village has many desirable assets. Its waterfront views, architect, history, and arts all stem from that central core of the village. So we also recommend that an implementation execution plan be adopted after the comprehensive plan so that we can propose the different priorities and an outlook. So the village residents can see that we don't just have a list of things and they're just sitting there, that certain items will be proposed in the next year, certain items in 2 to 3 years, and so on and so forth, so the village resident can see that the village is making progress on the recommendations. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Board. Thank you very much for allowing me to have this chance to intro the comprehensive plan, and it's up to the public to say their piece now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Well, as a resident, not as a village official, it's becoming commonplace, I think, throughout the village. People just don't want to take care of their property. They leave cars around, they leave trash around, furniture, all kinds of things. I don't know if that was addressed at all during your, I know it's a zoning code thing, it must be.
Well, we have made a recommendation that the building department gets the resources and funding they need to follow up and enforce
Well, my
these types of
question-
situations.
My question is, of these three things here, a car parked on the lawn, which is very common anymore, especially during the curbing period, and then in the spring when it gets muddy, they track mud out into the street and it washes down with the storm drain. I don't know if that's in the plan addressed at all. If they can do a code, a legal law to maybe update the code book. I understand, I don't know if it's a resource problem or not. But the second thing is furniture out in the front yard. It rains, it snows, the stuff's there, and it sits there for months. Stuff on the front porch, in this particular case, has been there for years. And when I ask about it, well, the furniture is really too big to go through the front door. Well, you gotta saw and cut it, okay? I don't wanna look at this. And this happens to be just down the street from my house. But it's commonplace. It's on Clap, it's all around.
Totally agree, and that's what the high-level comment, because tonight we're talking about the comprehensive plan. So from a high-level standpoint, we feel that the building department should have what they need and the wherewithal to enforce such items. Now, once the comprehensive plan becomes adopted by the village board, the zoning code will then be updated to support that, which would address these items. And if the building department has the resources it needs to be able to enforce that.
Okay, of the three items that are on there, is there anything on there that exists to your knowledge that could be enforced? The car on the front yard, grass,
So right now,
furniture?
right now, current code does not allow you to park your vehicles in front of your property.
Okay, well, I asked about that and I was told no.
No, there is a code on that.
There is.
Yes.
It's just not enforced. Is
I
that it?
don't know the code number exactly, it's not,
Okay, there is here.
yeah.
Then it's just, okay, that's a matter of enforcement. And furniture in the front yard, decorating the landscape and all that, is that a matter of enforcement too?
I think, John, if I remember properly, I think that has to do, you cannot put a driveway in the front yard.
In direct proximity to some portion of the front of the house.
Correct.
Right, and it just, no disrespect, this here are actual implementation of items. We're talking about the comprehensive plan
Well, I'm
tonight.
talking about your item number 4. You just talked about the studies of the village.
Right, oh, absolutely. The enforcement requires these type of things to be addressed. And I just share with everyone, I can't do that, he has to do that. It's not my meeting tonight. Going back and looking at prior village board meetings, minutes, etc., I've always seen a sort of common thread that there's always been an assistant to the code enforcement officer. And that assistant helps out with this type of information.
we know that. Okay. I just want to know if your plan is addressing any of these, or is it strictly enforcement?
This let's make sure it's clear. We have the comprehensive plan.
Right.
We have the zoning code.
Correct.
And I suggested at the end of my talk, my intro there, is that we have to have an implementation plan. At that level, we'll point out specific things we need to go after.
I get it.
And make sure that when this happens, Bonnie Kiefer from Carmine Drive, part of the planning board, and also part of the comprehensive plan review board, but when this, make sure that you take note of your comments and Tom's. We have the comprehensive plan as the over umbrella. Underneath it, we have the zoning code, and then you, as trustees and village clerk, have to make sure that it's implemented.
Yes, and I can do that.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. And I know you all put a considerable amount of effort into
We
this.
definitely did.
But again, I'm speaking as a resident and
Yes,
and
and-
not as a village official.
No, and it makes
It's just
sense.
annoying.
This is the part of, this is the time to say these kind of comments.
Thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you, John. No, those are very good points, and absolutely, we will be addressing those type of situations.
Right.
Quick card. You give one.
Go ahead, Greg.
To do all these things, make all these plans. My name is Greg Hemingway, I live on Mizzier Avenue, South. But we don't have anybody who enforces them. And if you don't enforce them, what's the sense of making them? We had the garbage stuff, and this village is a mess. Just ride around and look at the weeds in people's yards, stuff thrown all over the place. You know, and don't even get me going on the parking. Just, you know, all fine and good. The zoning enforcement man doesn't do anything. You call him, you call him, you call him. I get a list one time of 30 things that were wrong in a 2-block area. Told him I was going on vacation, I'd be back in 2 weeks. I expected to see something done. Nothing was done. Then he got mad when I called him out in public. He doesn't enforce anything. The policemen don't enforce anything. Just, you know, it's all good, but all this work and if you don't enforce it, there's no sense in doing it.
So noted. Joan O'Brien from North Street.
John O'Brien, 5 North Street. I thought this village board made up a new law to go after people like that stuff. And lawns not cut, throwing junk on their lawn, sitting there for years. I tried to sell my house. She would not buy it to look at that stuff across the street, 10 North Street. There are 8 barbecue grills, dumbbells. Now a lazy boy chair that sat on the front porch for a week. Broken down chairs, lawnmowers, everything. I'm getting tired of the crap. What happened to you forced a new law? You said you were going to get that guy a dumpster to clean up his yard. His 8 propane tanks ran by the garage. You wanted him to explode? Then you're really going to have a fire and be embarrassed at this village. You do not enforce the law. You need to do your job. And I mean it.
You want to address that point?
You made a new law, enforce it. I mean it.
If I could just say, Joan, I hear you and I agree with you, and I apologize to you for our inability to do that. And not that that makes that, but it's something that sits on me a lot. And you are completely correct. It is completely unacceptable, and the wheels have ground to a halt on that.
I came
And
to
it's
this
not
board
cool.
the last 5 years. I've been living in this village for 20 years. Last 10, I came and complained about that property across the street. I'm getting tired of it. And you know what else? You should take a walk through this village and see the garbage on the street. It's disgusting. You want people to come in and shop and eat dinner and go to the theater? Take a good walk. Not in your car, get on your feet and take a walk. There's garbage laying in the sewer. John is fighting for the sewage cleaners. It's garbage all through the street. It's disgusting. You need to get out and look at those streets, really. Get a garbage pail, walk through this village and clean up the garbage. Or you're not gonna have people coming through this village again. You better clean it up.
Alice Rogers.
Why is, you're saying it's,
South
you
Remsen.
have the inability to enforce it? Why?
Me? You got
I'm saying, you know, the police, zoning, anything, you say you can't enforce it. Why?
It'd be a question for
The
Craig
police and
Wallace.
the zoning guys argue as to who's supposed to issue what, if it's anything like it used to be.
That's true. I think there's some,
Going on
I
for
think
years.
there is some infighting on who's going to write the ticket and who's going to do the enforcement. And as a result, nothing gets done.
That goes back to when I was on the board. That's 20, 30 years ago.
But we're changing, right?
That's why I don't come to many meetings.
So even certain ones, you want to people back up, I don't do
Only
the job.
certain people. Not everybody.
Look, I'm just going to address the one point relative to enforcement on that. My son was a couple of years old and she was babysitting him, and I delivered him to her from Poughkeepsie with his mother. And it was a Monday morning, it snowed on a Saturday, and there was about 4 inches of snow on the ground. I went back to Village Hall, and I told the mayor at the time, I'm going next door into the police station, and I'm gonna have the police write tickets. And Officer Bilodeau was there next to Lieutenant or Captain, Lieutenant, I believe, Bertzel, and I said to him, and don't forget the attorney who wrote the law. His sidewalk isn't shoveled. He wrote 52 tickets. 52 tickets. And our lawyer got maybe the first or second one, and he was the first to pay the fine. So it can be done. You just have to have the will to do it. There's a couple people in the back with questions.
I am very new to this, new to the village. Is there a junk removal day where everybody can put whatever they don't need on the street and
It costs
roll or
money, they
something?
can't afford it.
So why don't they ask around, say if everybody pitches in, we can do this type of thing?
Are you on the Wappinger side or the Poughkeepsie side?
Of the village, Wappingers?
Wappingers? Well, there's also Wednesdays and Saturdays, there's, you know, I think it's a $50 charge per year. You can bring whatever junk you have up there.
Right, but some
We have
residents
had-
don't have trucks or.
I understand that. We have had, I think, Kevin, you can talk more to exactly what.
We had one last year,
We do
Yeah.
have pickups.
and it wasn't a success. It was very
People
slow.
didn't, it was expensive
Were
and people
there-
didn't come out.
Right.
Were there announcements? Were there
Yeah.
like posters around and everything?
Yep, it went out with your
Okay.
water bill before we did it.
What did it cost us?
20 grand. But you had to bring it to us. It was at our highway department, and it was
Okay.
wasn't that many people participated in it.
And there's no way to get it out there another way besides in the water bill?
Last year.
And I think it was.
It was on the website,
On the
we
website.
announced it, it was in, everyone gets a,
Everyone
in
gets-
theory, everyone gets a water bill.
Right.
So we put it on like a brightly colored piece of paper.
How about we just stick it to those pusher's doors?
Well, that would involve paying someone to walk to everyone's door. It goes in the mailbox.
Oh, she walks the neighborhood.
Yes.
My name's Chris Morris. I live on South Remsen. As my understanding, just to the car debate, it's up to the police to enforce vehicles on the property. That's what I was told many times over. But I'm here to speak in favor of the comprehensive plan because I'm not sure if any of you know. So we live on South Remsen here, and this is residential Route 9. As of right now, all this red comes all the way here. So I could have McDonald's across the street from my house right now, legally, with what we have written in the law. So I certainly don't want to see Route 9 across the street from my house on residential roads in the Village of Wappingers. I mean, I'm close enough as it is, I hear it, but as of right now, you know, visually you can see it could be right next to the post office right now. So, I mean, I'm in favor of transitioning that to residential for sure.
Me too.
I agree. There's a lot of traffic on that road. They speed up and down, and we have kids that play in those streets. And they park on both sides of the street, and that street is not very wide. So to build something like that with a lot of parking areas, and I think it should be single-family houses, if that.
Mary?
Mary Morris, North Mizzier Avenue. Although I was not raised in the village or lived in the village my whole life, I spent most of my life here in the village. I grew up going to school here, so I have wonderful memories of the demographics and the small stores and the family groups that were here at that time. Picnic in the park and all those things that brought everyone together and brought other people in, and it was part of the charm and wonder of the village. As demographics change and as we move forward, though some of those things have gone away and those things are going to happen, but what this comprehensive plan does is ensure that as growth occurs, as progress, whatever that means, little or big P, as we move forward, it ensures that we still keep our charm, the reasons people live here in the first place, tries to bring back some other businesses that we can shop at, dine at, and raise our family here. That's why we moved back here after the short time that we were away. We wanted to have that for our family, and I would like to see the comprehensive plan move forward, and 21 years is a very long time not to study and understand what's going on in a particular area. And I've got to assume, and I know I'm prejudiced, better minds than mine have spent a great deal of time researching this and putting this together, and that this is something that we would like the village board to adopt.
Does this address the problem on South Mizzier Avenue, where they got the zoning all messed up? They have the west side of South Mizzier Avenue zoned for small business, whatever the heck it is, and it's supposed to be single family. And you said it's been 21 years since this was done. That zoning was done approximately around 2015, I think.
Right, I'll let Tom.
I talked to you when you first became mayor because I got nowhere with Matt. Matt was telling me it was done and it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
So-
I believe they admitted that they had made a mistake when they did it.
They
So
did.
I'll let Tom address that.
Mayor, may I address it? Yes, we have corrected that.
Okay.
Yes, and if you look at this map here, when you get a chance, take a look at it, or even on the website, this is out there. You'll see that has been corrected, that line has been
Makes my life a lot easier. That's one of the reasons I came today.
Yes, yes.
Tom, unless I missed it, I don't see Marshall Road on that map. I just briefly walked up to it.
Yeah.
It's near the credit union, Marshall Road.
It's out in that green section up there.
That's Princess Circle when I walked up to it?
Marshall.
Oh, it is down there? So,
It's residential mixed use, proposed.
proposed.
This is all proposed.
Right.
Until you and the other members of the board with the mayor adopt it, this is only a proposal.
I'm gonna just remove myself and walk out here because I have a question about that road.
Okay.
For you, those of you who don't know, I own a business on that road. So right now it's commercial mixed use and mostly everything on that road is commercial. So your plan, in this plan, is to change it to residential.
Mixed use.
Right. So a lot of the things that are currently allowed will not be allowed going forward. So that would pretty much, I mean, the credit union, the Department of Motor Vehicles, the storage unit, my piece of property, nothing would conform to that use going forward.
So I had to do a little reference here.
Okay.
They should be considered to be a pre-existing non-conforming usage.
Yes.
Correct.
at that point.
Correct.
And that's, yes, that's residential.
Jennifer, please stop the answer.
Okay.
Well, it was already said, it would be a non-conforming moving
I know,
forward.
but say a property owner on that street has a business, wants to do another business. When it's residential, it really kind of limits you just residential. So that property owner that's owned that property, commercial property for a long time, is forced to do just residential. So.
Okay, no, that's a good point, and hopefully the note
Don't sit
takers
back
are
down
gonna record that, because this is not perfect.
Right.
You know that, that's the
I just wanted to bring that out.
No, thank you very much. That's the purpose of us getting together, so we get the input from the various folks who see something, because as was stated before, we've spent buku hours going through this, and after a while, the forest for the trees, sometimes you don't see all those nuances, and that's why it's great to have public observation for many other sets of eyes to help us in that. So yes, so that note, I'm sure the ladies in the back have taken some notes, and I'm sure the record for the public hearing should also contain that comment, and then once all those comments come in, that gets scrubbed again.
Thank you.
But thank you for your input.
Barb?
I'm just curious, on Marshall Road, where is there?
Barbara
I'm sorry, Barbara Montrose, South Missouri Avenue. Where on Marshall Road is there any room for any more businesses? Unless you're talking about people changing what they have.
Changing what they
to
currently
something
have
else.
into
You got credit
something.
union, you got the apartments, you know.
Right. I'm talking about right now, if you own, and I'm sorry, I know you had a question for me before and I didn't answer it. You know, if I was to, I currently own a business that I've had there for 30 years.
Right.
But if I want to change that
Change
business,
I'm just saying, so there isn't room there for new businesses.
I don't know that 100%, but I can't see where they would put it
You got the
now.
newest apartments,
Right.
and then you got the other apartments, and you got all the other stuff.
So that would just be the current people that are
Changing
there
to something else.
changing to something else.
Excuse me, can I just ask, Tom, that proposal, is that completely residential, or did you say it's residential mixed use?
Mixed use.
It's residential mixed use.
Say that one more time.
Residential mixed
Right.
use.
Meaning can you provide that that, it might be helpful if we understand the definition.
A residential mixed use, it consists of limited lands for development due to topographic conditions. Lands that are available for development will contain higher density residential units and limited commercial facilities. Doesn't outlaw.
So it doesn't outlaw them.
Doesn't outlaw. They're there. Natural landscapes, residentials, variable front and side yard setback. Definition is in the draft proposed code that is only going to stay a draft until after the comprehensive.
But if you go, I'm sorry, yeah. If you go further and look into the commercial uses that there are, the
commercial.
it goes from here to here. It's extremely limited.
It's Route 9.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, and if it's inappropriate, I apologize, but can you ask what the committee's thought was behind that change?
I can honestly say I don't remember the details.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
But I do kind of agree with the discussion that's going on tonight, that maybe we need to slice that a little bit differently, mainly because it's not all residential. There is a lot of residential out there, but it's not all residential. So, especially if we're looking at the credit union and DMV and all that other stuff there, you know, that's not going to be apartment complexes anytime soon. So we should go back and look at that based on the input that we heard tonight.
And could I maybe ask if Bonnie, if you recall, or if Michelle recalls?
I
the
don't,
thought
I'm
process?
sorry
That's
to
fine.
say.
It's not me putting you on the spot.
No,
I'm
I
thinking maybe it would help us
Right.
understand why, if there's why the recommendation was made.
I'd have to go back to notes.
That's fine.
Hold on a second. Greg again?
I almost wonder if we don't have that backwards. It should be more business, commercial, less residential.
Well, residential already.
You have more commercial out there than you really do residential. Let's get away from the apartments. and they're only on one side of the road, and one side is all business.
You're correct, that's what I said, we have to go back and ask that.
But also the area in question is on the area where there's residential, right? It's flanked by residential, it's not,
Well, yeah, there's the residential piece, there's the DMV, the credit union
right,
building.
but that's on the other side, correct?
That's correct, but as you go further north from the apartment complex, there's a business there.
I know.
We heard about, and then beyond
More
that
residential.
is the
Residential.
residential area.
That's all I'm just saying, it's not, so.
Plus the storage units behind that too, that would be non-conforming.
That's correct. Good point.
All right.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
Greg, I just want you to know that, and everybody else, that I have talked to our police commissioner in the past many times about like parking enforcement and, you know, who's going to ticket parking on lawns, all these kinds of issues before, but I will call a meeting of that for next week. Again, yes, and try to
Good luck.
beat it into submission.
Commissioner, who's in charge now?
So that's another thing, but we'll come to that later, I believe, in the agenda, right? Yes. As far as who's in charge now.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I've been
Say your name.
Stephen Tinkleman, Matter Development. I've been working in the village for 35 years or so, and have had the pleasure of having changed the intersection of Main Street and East Main Street, and building a commercial center there. And that process didn't happen without a lot of complicated, deep conversations with the village board. We need some zoning changes there, and they reflected a changing time. And I think what used to be on the edge of Main Street, East Main Street and Route 9, there were a lot of old buildings that had existed beyond their useful life. And I think what we did there was thoughtful, and it was really a collaborative effort with the village boards at the time. This is back in a couple different times, but it goes back 15, 20 years. These are the comprehensive plan review is really important for a community, and I commend that. I ask, though, that some of the definitions and some of the thoughts that go into these comp plans really impact some of the discussions you have tonight, which have to do with the difficulty of having enough capital to hire people to take care of enforcement and things like that. And our country is built upon the idea that we grow our tax base because it's the only way we can survive. And we're dealing as a society, the complexity of our population not growing, and it's creating challenges, as we all know. Right? And there's a lot of definitions in the comp plan that are really worth looking at again in terms of putting positive and negative attributes to them. And one is the idea of renting, right? And home ownership. And traditionally, there's been, and I think what's in the comp plan is the traditional definition that renting is necessarily not as good as home ownership, and I'm not sure that that's wrong. But the world is changing, and people are beginning to rent because their lifestyles are different, and they don't want to have the same obligation, or maybe it's the same economics, or because of job obligations and such. So there's a lot of moving targets. I have an architectural firm, and we have a dozen housing projects going in different communities throughout Dutchess County, and I'd be interested or willing to show you how we're able to create new neighborhoods and do kind of community renewal through the projects that we're doing. And I think the idea of defining single-family homes, or there's there's some definitions in there that are really worth looking at, because in the particular site that I own, here's where it gets to be, self-serving, and I don't mean it to be that way, but part of it is the piece of property that I own behind Patriots Park that I developed is really, kind of an edge condition. It's right between a really nice, traditional residential street, which is Remsen, and Route 9, which is real busy in that shopping center, and it's real busy and all that. And the idea that the comp plan really talks about doing more, single family and, kind of low density housing there will just not fly. Nobody's going to want to buy a single family house, maybe along Remsen. And by the way, when we had that property rezoned back 15 or 20 years ago, one of the conditions was to honor the scale and the feeling of Remsen. And I think that that's in the ordinance that's there, which I think is real important. And so not to get into too long of a commentary tonight, but I think that property has the capability of really being transitional in terms of going from Route 9 into Remsen, and the density probably is the right way to make that work, and that can be shown through example. The other part about that is that property could, in terms of its tax base, could be significant, right? And so it's really picking out the places in the village that you as a board, and maybe you'll disagree with me, but there are places in the village that really can have their own sense of place and be really dynamic and be a value add to the community and also drive tax base. There's a project that we just did in the town of LaGrange that is a good example of being in an edge and building 107 units there, and it's very rural in its feel, and it's a little different of an environment, but the most amazing part about it is its success has a lot to do with people who live in LaGrange that wanted to sell their houses could stay in the community and and have market rate housing and really be a value add. And our particular site, which I would ask you to look at, specifically, is so dynamic because you can walk right into the center of the village. You participate to Route 9. It really offers a lot of things. But I would ask you to look at a lot of the sites to make sure that that on a very specific basis they reflect kind of the way the world is. And again, and the last comment is that I know the village has a lot of rental housing percentage-wise, and so maybe there needs to be a change, and I understand the drive for more home ownership, but a balanced community really needs all levels of housing. It needs multi-family, single-family, affordable, high-end stuff, and that's what makes a community, is the diversity of it. And in closing, the success of a couple of projects that we're doing, and that one is in the town of Poughkeepsie, where we're taking a derelict area and putting new market rate housing in there, and all of a sudden you begin to see the impact on the surrounding properties of people putting money into their homes, and that you can really sense the whole the whole transition. So again, I would ask you to look at some projects in the communities that would be meaningful here, and I'm glad to participate on a level that is not just selfish and about my piece, but about showing where change is, and how the physical things that we're building today reflected a little different way the world is versus when the village got strong. So,
can I ask you a quick question before? Can I ask a question, please?
Let's take this gentleman on the far side.
So, I know where your property is. Where, can you show everybody where you're expecting all these units to be entering and exiting from? Because my understanding it's not Route 9, it's on the South Remsen, is that correct?
Well, we also have access onto East Main Street. So the answer is we have access next to the post office.
Okay, but you would want how many units there? You said you had a plan, right?
Well, no, we're working on developing it, and I understand your sensitivity to it, and as a
Well,
person-
no, because I live there, and I don't want to see 5-story buildings. I've seen your work. I know what you do, and there's lots of very large buildings, thousands, probably a couple thousand units you'd be able to fit down there, right?
Oh, no, we're not. The only thing I would ask you to do is I hear what you're saying, and
I just want to see residential, and board, I hope you don't get, rose-colored glasses with all the tax dollars he's going to bring us with all these wonderful units that we're going to see. The village is a small village. We need to stay that way. We don't need hundreds of units of people coming in and out through there. It needs to stay residential.
I just want to ask a really pointed question about something you said. I appreciate everything you said. You made a statement that the current, as it sits now before the change, is consistent with the current look and feel of Remsen. But what is what you said, correct?
Well, I think
what they're offering right now is what we have right now is the look and feel of Remsen. That's what you said. So my question is, what is there on Remsen are single family homes.
Right.
So anything other than single family homes or maybe side by side duplex isn't really. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good comment.
It's not accurate.
But no, it's a good comment. I think part of it is before we judge something, you want to present it and see it. But my comment exactly to what you said is that you have the ability to do something that's significant so that it meets the scale, single family, or in terms of the size of the buildings and the setbacks and how close they are together and all that, and then move back into the property which is behind that, so that what you're doing is reinforcing Remsen, because it's a strong street and you want to do that. But then the property behind that is a completely different animal, right? And you might not even see it from Remsen once you build these houses along there. So it's giving it a chance to let this interstitial area right in the middle be something different. And also make sure that you're reinforcing what Remsen is. I think to this gentleman's comment is, you don't want to mess up with that.
Right, and then just one other thought that I had is, the challenge is we need to listen to the people that live there.
Yeah, for sure.
And one thing that I didn't think was necessarily apples to apples is when you said you go in and you fix a derelict property. South Remsen's not a derelict property, and that area is not derelict. So that's just also something to consider.
I'm just nervous.
But I'd love someone like yourself to take any number of the derelict properties that we have and improve them. But that's not what we're talking about in that section. I'm just trying to be honest with because I like what you had to say, but I just want to be really honest with my thoughts already at this point. Is that
I would only say is that
important to know.
I didn't come here with any negatives.
No, I
In fact, we
understand.
don't have any project designed, and one of the things that you do is you love context. The way you can do a successful project is meet with your neighbors, look at what's around you, and celebrate it, right? And
I'm going to have to cut you off, Steve. Mary?
One of the aspects of assigning or reassigning zoning is indicating that the village or the municipality has the ability to provide the needed infrastructure and services. So I just want to ensure that the board considers that if the water board hasn't been able to provide input, that they, as a committee or a subcommittee of the water board, indicate based on the assignments of the particular zoning there, whether the water and sewer services that we have right now have the ability to serve, if there are other zoning changes that the board wants to consider from what the comprehensive plan has suggested, that they incorporate the water board and understand whether or not we can provide those services, because we were facing a situation not a year ago that we didn't have the ability to provide more capacity. So we have to understand that as a village, that depending upon how we're going to grow, do we have the ability to provide water and sewer to the growth pattern that we're adopting?
And we still don't, Mary.
Greg?
Still don't have the water for it.
Not
I'm
yet.
not mistaken,
Not for another 3 years.
we've been through this whole process before,
Yeah.
years ago. You developing that property back there, there was all the yelling and screaming about people on Remsen. Dead set, 100% dead set against people exiting from there onto Remsen Avenue. It's a traffic nightmare now.
School buses.
If you go out onto East Main Street, your other thing you did up on the corner up there has already got a traffic disaster going on, and now you're gonna add this to it? Somewhere it's gotta go out on 9, and I don't know where. It should not go out onto Remsen Avenue, under any circumstances.
Okay. Laura?
Along the same lines of what Ray said, I was going to say, I overheard you say that if there was a development there, you'd be able to walk into the center of the village. And I whispered to my friends here, yeah, if you don't get run over first while you're walking. We walk a lot. I don't live on Remsen, I live on Mizzier. From Mizzier and Remsen are the speedways, 2 blocks down, 1 block and 2 blocks down from Route 9. So it's like Route 9, Little Route 9, Little Route 9. And during the hours of school time, it's horrendous. So if you add more people coming and going, Remsen, East Main Street, and eventually probably from Route 9, they'll be cutting through whatever way, and it's horrendous now. Anything more would be crazy.
Joan?
Do we have to build anything new in this village? Can't we leave the trees alone, please? That's what we have Mother Nature for. Stop cutting down the trees, build houses. And are these people that are building houses, are they gonna be in the village landlords or outside the village landlords? 'Cause half of these buildings are out-of-town landlords. They don't care the properties. They show up. Oh, it's rent time. Here's your check. Goodbye. See you next month. They don't care about the properties. Okay?
67%.
We didn't like it
67%.
15 years ago when you proposed it. We don't like it now.
And we have 2 empty buildings coming down Nahad. What happened to those buildings? Someone were taking them up. You know, like where the old gun shop used to be, another store. Someone got in there, started gunning it, just left it. It's disgusting. What's happening with those buildings? What
They're
business-
being developed.
What?
Just so you know, they are being developed.
They are?
Yes, they're in the.
Pretty empty last couple months.
Well, no, I understand, but they are being developed.
Okay. And remember, if we build new houses, that money goes towards the school district. The schools are overcrowded, okay? Just asking, because I worked in the school district, it's very crowded. So you put money in the building houses, put money into the school districts, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I'm done.
Okay, all the way in the back.
There's a small T-shaped intersection behind McDonald's and where Starbucks is. Would that be a way to exit and enter this proposal instead of Remsen? Because there's also a traffic light at the end of that could help.
There was a
People
thought
go right
back
for the
around
traffic light.
2007, 2006, 2007, that property, that Remsen, that property, I know it as Vincent's, the Country Mart property, but behind the post office, okay, that property, you could connect to that spot you're talking about, and there could be an exit there, and there could be also an exit, perhaps, on the side of the post office.
Where the dentist is.
Right, where the dentist is.
So another thought, if
And
that,
the third option was onto Remsen Avenue, but that got overwhelmingly was opposed.
yeah.
That's
So I
That's
agree
how it
with
was
everything.
15 years ago.
I agree with everything of staying residential, single-family houses. However, if you do have to use the whole diversity thing with rental properties, blah, 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 I didn't know that it was 60% when I thought about this, but why don't they rent single-family houses instead of huge 5-floor buildings where more people can enter and exit instead of just maybe 15 houses, if that, if they could fit. But if there's more rentals than there are owning, then never mind. I don't even want it to happen. I want residential, single-family houses. I live right across the street.
I just want the woods.
Yeah.
Nicole, I live on South Remsen.
Yep.
Just to touch on the traffic, we have kids that go to the junior high, and they are told from the junior high that the entrance is from South Remsen. So just to keep in mind the traffic, if there's already traffic now, adding on those, rental buildings, it's gonna be a nightmare. I mean, all the traffic.
Wednesday morning with the
In
garbage.
the morning, it's tons of traffic. In the afternoon, tons of traffic.
I'm afraid to
Already.
park on the street. My car got hit. Some lady hit it, didn't even care, took off driving. I don't have enough money to fix my car now. And people just don't care. That speed trap that they put in, I think it was like last year, did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Where was the speed trap?
Right in front of my house on the telephone pole. I live at 13 South Remsen.
Oh, it's just the sign telling you how fast.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
The sign with the
If they
speed you're
do
going,
nothing.
whatever?
It'd be different if they took a picture of the person's license plate and mailed them a ticket. That would be
That was
great.
more just to get some statistics on what people are doing.
Right.
Okay, Barb?
Just quick, along the lines of it wasn't a speed trap, because we had one down on Maple Street at the corner of Maple and Adams. I know it was for what you were just saying, it was for more for, well, I don't know what it was.
We were trying to find, we were trying to get the
Like a
statistics
shock
on if
value.
people were speeding or blowing
It
stop
was more for like
signs.
the shock value or the be aware value of, oh my God, I'm doing this, whatever. However, I don't think it did much good, and I was getting ready to call somebody about putting one up again this year since school has started, because last year I sat and watched cars come from South Avenue to that spot, which is less than 75 feet, or maybe a little bit more than that, and they hit 30 miles an hour before they even hit the sign for the first intersection there. So those signs work for some people, but we need to do something different because the streets are just...
Like I said, the signs aren't there to scare people. They're there to, they make people aware of their speed, but it was to calculate statistics if people were staying underneath the speed limit, so our police department could properly send out their resources to certain areas.
Well, what
So-
happened to that?
Yeah,
Well, they compile them and they're doing their job, but it's not a speed trap, it's not
No, I
there
didn't
to put up
mean
to
to
scare them, it's,
And I
so
didn't mean
when
to
all
say
that
I
was
just meant to
compiled.
make you aware, but
Yeah.
the
So
thing
the,
is,
right, so I'm
once
just,
people are aware, you could actually hear people rev their engine to see how fast they could go before they got there.
right, but I have the same problem, I live here, I have 4 kids, and there's 5 stop signs on my street, and the people aren't speeding, they're just not stopping at the stop
Stop
sign.
signs don't mean anything.
Right, so that speed sign really isn't
You're
doing a
not
whole
speeding
lot,
down
but I'm
North
with you
Street, come
guys.
on. You're speeding down North Street.
And one thing,
Definitely speed
And
down
climb on
that
that
street.
I
corner.
can't speak to Barb Montrose' situation or even on South Mizzier, but what I will say in part of my education with talking with the police commissioner and some of the officers, and the reason why they do this mechanical speed sign is because oftentimes our perception of the vehicle speeding versus the reality of them speeding is different. So they do this oftentimes throughout the village when they get complaints from residents, people are speeding. Then they do it and they realize, actually, in all of our data, I'm not saying that it was in your situation or your situation, but in all of our data, only 2 cars had sped. We see it as speeding. This is just like the science of observing cars that I didn't know about. So that's,
Somebody needs to readjust those signs and readjust their data, because I sat there 3 minutes.
well, I just said to you, I'm not talking about your spot.
But I couldn't get the license plates
Right,
fast.
but I just said I wasn't talking about your spot.
Okay.
I was just saying, in general, that's why we have the mechanics.
Don't get
And
me
then
wrong,
you can
I
either
was a
believe
young
it or not.
teenager speeding around too. I can't say that I
Yeah.
wasn't.
It's definitely the concern that we're addressing.
Because I get it,
Right.
I live on that street and see it, and I drop my kids off and one of my kids goes up, so I get it.
Well,
I do get it.
they're smart too. If it's facing one way and it's catching you one way, they're gonna go around and then go the other way. So let's see how fast I can go. And they don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, and just again, to get back to the comprehensive plan, there is a lot of language about very different ways in which speeds can be reduced throughout the village. And so speeding in general, as you know, looking at it macro level, I think is discussed in the comprehensive plan in several sections. So I think, you know, the plan also shares everybody here concerned with speeding. So it's just another reason why I think it's part of it that needs to move forward.
After the station, they speed through the village.
Right.
And someone's gonna get hit one day, and that's gonna be it.
It's already happened, but I mean, it's a known priority, it's written down, it's
I look
you know,
down
part
our
of
street,
law.
someone else is lying down our street, they're gonna make a stop, they're gonna go on.
Right. But that's why it's in the plan.
Barb?
In the plan, I just have a question because it has to do with speeding and walking and bicycle safety and everything. Can I ask what raised crosswalks are?
May I address?
Go ahead.
Raised crosswalks are basically very wide speed bumps. So it becomes very obvious when you come into a crosswalk because it's actually, if you had just a speed bump, you couldn't walk on it. So what they do is they actually raise the crosswalk. So it's almost to the level of the sidewalks on each side. So as you're coming down the street, it's extremely obvious that you need to slow down and that the pedestrians could be in that. So that's what it is. It's more like a table versus a bump.
So would that be where the crosswalks are now?
No, that's only a proposed possible mitigation. There are a number of different things that can be used, bump outs on the sides of the road, different types of things to reduce the speed, because as things start closing in, people tend to not go as fast.
Thank you, because I wasn't sure. I mean, I know the bump outs got plowed off with the snow plows and everything, so that really didn't work. And the crosswalks at all the intersections are helpful, but only if people know enough to use them.
And you
Or feel that it's not beneath them to press them because they just walk anyway. So I was wondering what a raised crosswalk was.
Okay.
Does the board members have anything else to add? No. Jen? Mike? Okay, this is the first of 2 public hearings, so I'm going to ask a motion to end this public hearing, but keep the hearings open.
I'll make that motion.
Can you clarify that? Are you actually closing this hearing?
Or just adjourning.
Or just
Or adjourning the hearing.
Well, you need to actually hold 2 distinct public hearings that are noticed and so on.
Right, and the next, the board will determine the next public hearing, whether we want to hold it at the workshop meeting at the end of the month or next month's meeting.
I say we do it at the workshop meeting next month. Keep it going until we figure it all out.
Is the board in concurrence with that? That we have the second public hearing?
I prefer to ask what the committee that does this thinks.
I think you have the right, excuse me, respond, Mayor?
I'll let Bonnie respond first and then you.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say that I really was frustrated about the lack of communication to the citizens about when this hearing was going to, this public hearing was going to be held. I know that there was one small item in the Southern Dutchess News. I missed it. And I really would hope that you would publicize this far better than you did this first one, please.
Tom?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, by the way.
You have to have 2 separate public hearings, but you have an option to either adjourn this one tonight and continue it. That is still considered a single public hearing.
Right.
Then you have to ultimately close it, whether you close it tonight or you close it next time or the time after that or whatever, totally the board's preview. Once that's closed, that information is gathered, then the work goes back to here, at which point in time the new updated comp plan and land use map will then be made available for the public to review. And then you'll have a second public hearing.
on that. So it's your option, you could close tonight's public hearing or adjourn it, and that would still consider it's the same public hearing, it's just being spread over a couple of nights.
Right.
But that is the board's preview as to how they want to handle that.
If the board closes this particular public hearing, they can then still incorporate public comment into a revised plan.
Absolutely.
And then renotice and republish for a hearing, for a second public hearing on the revised plan.
That is correct. If the board feels that they have received enough public hearing in tonight's session, that is the option of the board.
So what would, go ahead.
So the board would like to see it go to the workshop meeting, is that?
Correct.
That's,
Leave this one open to the workshop?
well, we can, or we can adjourn this one, or close it, and have the second one at the workshop meeting.
Is that enough time? Bonnie had expressed she'd like more time to get the word out. Is that enough time to?
I believe it would be enough
2 weeks?
time. I do believe that, but it has to be in more than one newspaper, and it has to be on the website.
I think there would be a challenge to try to get the comments compiled from tonight. And we still haven't received, I do not believe, and I'll look through this card, have you received the response from the county yet?
No.
No, because I would share that we should not be going forward with that second hearing until we've got the input, we've got the planning board's input, we've got the public tonight, we need the county's input. Once all that input is available, the team needs some time to compile that and make it available to the public so they can go.
So you need more time?
So yes, the 2 weeks, I just don't think that's going to be adequate to allow the public to digest the changes. Because there, as you heard tonight, there's a number of different concerns and questions, and the team has to go off and take a look at how do we incorporate those comments. Not saying all the comments are getting included, but they do all need proper consideration before we move forward. And we really need to count. Their comments are key also. And if we don't do this properly, it could be a problem with us moving forward legally.
Okay, Lisa?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Keeping this meeting adjourned open tonight doesn't really serve any purpose for 2 reasons. One is we have to move it to a date certain, which we don't really have because we don't know when we're going to hear from the county, et cetera. And also, we have to do this all over again with another public hearing because of New York State statutes. You have to have 2 separate public hearings. So if we close this one, we still have to have another public hearing, which will give everyone an opportunity to come back. But you'll be commenting on something that's much closer to something that might actually get adopted. Because we have a feeling that knowing what we know from other municipalities, the county's going to come back with some comments and some feedback for us that we'll probably want to incorporate. And we also want to take what everyone said tonight and look at the map, for example, and incorporate and have a couple more comp plan meetings. So what I would recommend to the board, if the board's in agreement, is that you close tonight's public hearing, and then once we get all our ducks in a row, we can come back and provide you with a new revised comp plan and map, and then you can, at that time, have a new public hearing, open it, and we'll do this again. That way we're not tied to any certain schedule, and you don't have to have something that keeps getting adjourned to a date we don't know yet. Thank you.
So,
I'll make that motion.
So after hearing that,
Are we
going to take the recommendation of one of our consultants?
We sure are.
Okay.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Adam, seconded by
All in
Pat.
favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Opposed? Carried. Hearing's closed. Okay, next on the agenda.
Can't just all leave, there's so much more. There's so much more fun. Don't go.
Thank you all.
We have to leave this room because they had meetings.
Everybody, the board meeting is still running.
I'll combine
Thank you, thanks for coming. Come next time.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm home, I'm tired. I've been up since 1 o'clock. I retired and I worked today. So it's about my business. It's at the Where's the dumpster? There's a water tank and a garage outside.
The meeting's not closed yet.
Where's the mayor?
He's outside.
Good night, thank you.
Have a good night. Bye, Pat.
Good night.
I hope you have a great night.
You're lucky my bar is empty.
Peace and love.
Tell me what to give us a call. We had to go out.
Joe, you leaving?
I could watch the Bachelorette in the Top Chef.
Oh, jeez. She's not working.
Now, let's go without him.
What is it?
Where are you going?
Well, the mayor will be back on care of it.
We could take a short break.
Did you get that, Tim?
I'll make it too long. 3 o'clock comes early.
I'll talk to you later. Have a good night.
Oh, wait.
I'll talk to you. Oh, yes, thank you.
You knew. You knew. I think so.
Oh,
Okay, regular session. Accept the resignation of Police Commissioner Ferry effective September 10th.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Well, we have a
I'd like to just say one quick thing. I really thank Commissioner Ferry for his service and his efforts, and it'd be sad to see him go, but I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Is the board in favor of me advertising for candidates for the vacant police commissioner position?
I'll make that motion as well.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Approve immediate effective date for Carl Calabrese as officer in charge of the police department.
I'll make the motion.
Wait, please. Resolution number 21-2022 of 2022. This is a resolution regarding officer in charge of the Village of Wappingers Falls Police Department. I can take that motion now.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Trustee Sidoti. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote. Mayor Sereno.
Aye.
Trustee Huber.
Aye.
Trustee Sidoti.
Aye.
Trustee Nesnick.
Aye.
Trustee Ruffin.
Aye.
Trustee Loricella.
Aye.
Trustee Tillishek, absent. Carried.
Mayor?
Yes.
Is that a part-time, or not part-time, is that a temporary position?
Yeah.
Calabrese being put in
Yes,
there?
yes.
Okay. I was gonna say, there's no sense in doing the other guys.
No.
Okay.
Approval to accept the resignation of Tyler Windheim as laborer in the Water Department effective September 30th, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I hate
Mayor
to see him
votes
go.
I hate to see him go. I'm very disappointed, but I'm glad he's taking a step in the right direction for himself, but it's unfortunate for the village. We're going to lose a good, what everyone speaks highly of his abilities, so.
Yep, it's a good law, bad loss.
Carried.
He's going to the town, I think.
Town of Wappinger Highway Department.
Discussion, open treasurer's position.
Okay. So we are at the end of our interviews. We are having our last interview session next Monday. They're starting at 6:15. There's going to be 3 candidates. 6:15, 6:45, and 7:15. And we'll analyze all the marks on the candidates, and hopefully we will have a decision, hopefully.
I don't think there should be a hopefully. I think there should be a decision made quick. This has been going on for months. We need to do something. This weekend treasurer is not working out for this village. This afternoon I got a phone call from the fire chief yelling and screaming because the gas card don't work in this village. And the Home Depot card don't work in this village. This is embarrassing. We need to hire somebody like tonight.
We have been trying.
This is just embarrassing.
Can you come on Monday to the meeting?
You want me to be here on Monday? Because I will hire somebody on Monday. Because I'm tired of this. This has been going on for months.
That'd be great.
Be there. This is the second round.
There's tax bills that are screwed up. There's money found in drawers.
The treasurer's fault.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. No, it
Then
isn't.
whose fault is it?
No, it isn't.
Whose fault is it then?
It's the software company Edmunds, the way they processed and sent out the bills.
All right, and what about the other bills in this village?
I'm just telling you. Know what you're talking about.
We're always blaming somebody else in this village.
No.
Yes. This has been going on. I sit on the water board and I know about it. We're always excusing late payments on water bills.
That was the software program.
Oh, it's the software. This was the wrong thing to buy.
Exactly.
And I said, and I'll say it again. This village has wasted more money on other stupid shit. We could have thrown this thing away and stuck with the other one. I will say that, and I said it. We wasted more money on stupid stuff. We went out and bought something. We could have wasted money on this and stuck with what we had.
I think
it's disgusting.
I think everyone would agree in retrospect with the software program now, because it's not what it was advertised to be. But
we'll get rid of it.
You play with the cards you're dealt with, but for the implementation of the billing, there were issues because they took an old tax.
I get where you're coming from.
Old tax plan.
I get where you're coming from, but there's other bills in this village that aren't being paid either.
Well,
we're not going to blame that on the software, are we?
No, we're not.
Okay. That's where I'm getting at. So we need to hire somebody as soon as possible.
Okay.
I'm sure there's people upstairs that we can hire tonight. How many have you interviewed?
We've done 7 interviews.
And you got 3 more?
They're 3 of the same 7.
So we're going to re-interview them.
Yeah, second round interviews.
Second round, final.
And can I ask another question? This is your pick, and we're interviewing.
I'm going to take the consensus of the people who are interviewing, and then I'll make the pick.
What time Monday? Do you have 3 trustees to be there?
I have a commitment from Trustee Lauricella.
No, you don't.
Not yet?
No, not yet. You just told me about it.
I have a commitment from trustee Ruffin and myself right now, and Jessica will be there.
Now, why is she gonna be there? This is a trustee matter.
Actually-
This is not an employee matter.
Then come
She is-
excuse
I can't come. I can't come because there'll be 4 people there. That's a quorum. I'm just asking, why is she gonna be there?
I will speak to that.
Listen to trustee Laura
I requested that she be there because the initial thought was, we didn't do it right the last time. And I honestly, I don't feel that any one of us has a proper grasp on the job at
And I
hand.
think she adds value to the interview.
So I thought having a professional who had done the job would have a better job, do a good service for us in helping us navigate the interviews. That was why, because initially we voted to have RBT do this process, and all they have actually done was they just handed us people to interview. And that was never really what I thought was going to be done, because the last pick that we made was a big error. So I asked it because I thought she had a better grasp on what was to be done and could possibly ask certain questions that I personally don't have enough insight to ask, and I don't think that the rest of you do either.
Well, I don't know anything about treasury, but I'm telling you, I think that's I don't care for that.
I respect that opinion.
I
I just telling you why that happened.
It's just, I don't know. I'm just, I don't know.
I understand.
I don't agree with it.
I appreciate that. That was just what I thought that maybe I needed. Because I feel like it's over my...
I'm good for that one for now.
So the other reason why you might want Jessica there is because she's the only person that we have with knowledge of what's going on in the village to actually impart that knowledge on a new treasurer candidate. She's going to have to train the person that we hire. You do realize that, Kevin, right? I'm sure you do. If we have nobody else.
I just disagree having her there.
She's going to have to train that person. As bad as it sounds, that's what the mayor is, I think, is speaking to. You have to play with the cards you have, and she's the only card we have right now.
Well, I hope we can afford the next treasurer.
Do you have a dollar amount that you want to spend for a treasurer?
Yeah, under 80,000.
Okay.
That's mine.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to draw your attention to the handout that I put together. It's after the first paper clip. We have looking for approval for a 30-day advance notice for on-premise liquor license for a company called Miss Saigon Pho Incorporated up on Route 9. That has been approved by Brian Murphy.
Great.
And I have a motion
I'll make
to
that motion.
to grant. Who was that?
I made the motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried.
That's it.
The next one, I'd like to draw your attention to the next paperclip one, notice of violation and order to remedy. As you are aware and have been aware, we had a stormwater runoff problem on Reservoir, and the people that own the building on Reservoir in East Main were complaining about water filling up their basement.
Can you say that again? Where?
East Main and Reservoir. It's the Smith Building, is that the name of it?
I believe so.
The Smith
No,
Building.
but whose basement's getting filled up with water?
That building. The building.
Oh.
And so what we did was, we took a look at it from I'm the stormwater coordinator for the village,
Yes.
as you know. Took a look at it, and the village decided that we would remedy that by hiring Larry Podgy's company to come up and give us a plan, which they did. And we implemented about 50% of it. And that will correct the problem. The other 50% cannot be finished because, ironically, the people that complained about the water filling their basement have stairs mounted on village property. As you look at the pictures, you'll see the stairs in the enclosure for their trash cans is in the way of our highway department to bring a vehicle in there to complete the second portion of that plan. So the order to remedy was written back in December of last year. I asked the zoning enforcement officer where we were with the order to remedy, and he said it's up to this board.
And why?
I didn't get the whys, he just said it's up to this board.
I can make a,
I want to fill the board in on the status of the project. After speaking with Highway Superintendent Paggi and being a large part of this project, at this point that top basin that's in question has been successfully tied into the new system. So that whole drainage system is now complete. It just doesn't have a new basin in it. And then after analyzing the situation, when the ongoing construction is going to happen with the new building, that area will be destroyed. And as you guys all know, we did not have a budget for this project. So all this work that has been done there has been taken out of the current highway budget and kind of taken on the arm. We didn't have funding for this project. So at this time, Pete has made it clear that he thinks that the system is capable of doing what we intended it to do, and the stairs are removed. You know, the concrete stairs are removed, and there's signage up for no trespassing. So I believe that we could put as the issue of the drainage project, I believe we could put a pin in it for now.
So the drainage problem has been fixed, and that closes out the issue.
For now,
It does or
it's
it
comfortable
doesn't?
that
It does? Closes it out?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Stairs been removed that we know of?
These?
Yeah,
No, they're there.
they're there.
Okay, so the project is complete. We don't have to move the stairs.
Well, if it's on village property, we do.
In my opinion, that's a matter for code enforcement, but as pertaining to this project is completed.
That's all I care.
Satisfactory to the water runoffs hitting the bottom drains, everything's connected at the time, and that area is going to be affected when 10 Market Street, and when they remove their foundation to put a new one in, all the work we have done on that property will kind of be destroyed and have to be rebuilt. So without having a budget for this project, we shouldn't throw more money into it when it's working fine right now.
I'm more concerned about the runoff, so that's fixed.
Yes.
I'm done. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I'd like to draw your attention to the next paperclip proposal from Soltis Electric, and there are also pictures there of the decorative lamp posts that have been knocked down or fallen down, or the wind blew one down, on West Main Street Hill. They are trip hazards, and as a safety officer for the village, I went out and got a proposal from Soltis to remove the wires, whatever he has to do with the wires, and he's going to have the highway department help him saw cut those out and put a cap on them. I'd like to get this done. Plus, the other one, there's one that's leaning toward a building that he's willing to take down as part of this proposal. If you want to take more time to look over the proposal, that's fine. We don't have to do it tonight, but I really...
Yeah, I'd like to comment on this also, because I've been in contact with, again, the highway super, and it's been something he's wanted to also get taken care of. So he recommended to me that he would like to have a meeting with our electrical contractor and
This person.
Solstice or whatever his name is here, and our engineer, just to look at everything, get it figured out what they want to do. Because I guess junction boxes have to be put in, so on and so forth. And there's another issue where now that we don't have lighting there, do we have a lighting issue now that these poles are gone, and how are we gonna remedy that?
I don't know if you have a lighting issue there.
I mean, they were put up to light the streets and now they're
Well, there's
gone.
lights on the other side of the street.
Right, so I just, that, we wanna make sure that, you know,
I don't
that's,
think there was ever lighting on that side.
that's something that's addressed, but they were gonna be taken down, some on the other side, I don't know if
Oh.
any of it ever got taken down.
Well, we could table this.
No, I don't wanna table it, I wanna move forward with it, but, this, Pete, so we have a plan from the guy already?
Yeah,
Okay.
a very detailed plan. I didn't bring it all with me in the package, I just brought his proposal, and he goes into some detail on that. Then
I
he,
just wanna
then he
make
got
sure-
with Casey Engineering, got all their wiring diagrams, so he knows,
Where everything is?
there's quite a bit. I've got another 6 pages of technical,
Right, so I just want him to be in contact with, I don't think,
so is Pete
I
gonna,
don't think Pete knows that this has already been put together.
oh,
He just wants to collaborate with him so that he can assist to get the project done and moving forward.
I can reach out to Dave Soltis and have him call Pete.
Yeah, and so they could they can meet, iron it out, they're on the same page, and then I think we should move forward as soon as they agree that that's the path they want to take.
So
How about we can
should
make a
we
motion
vote on this
undetermined-
contingent on
Yeah.
Podgy's approval?
On Podgy's approval.
I don't have a problem with that, if the rest of the board's okay.
I'll make the motion then.
I'll second that, as long as.
This has to
Sadati
be done before winter because it's
Yeah.
a disaster.
Yeah, as long as Pete has the meeting with him.
Evan Huber, trustee Lauricella, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Draw your attention to the last paper clip on the handout. Discussion petition presented to the mayor and board of trustees, 9/12/22. Request to have a camera atop a hillside water tank removed.
I'd like to make a motion on this also, but I'd like to discuss this, fill everybody in on this. So, up on top of Hillside, there's a water tower up there, and there's a camera. Commissioner McCormick's here tonight. He went down and looked at it, down at Harry's. The residents up there want this camera down. I know there's an agreement, we got the agreement, all we are asking, I think the water board, is take this camera down. If not, we want to cancel this agreement with Harry. So all we are asking is just take this camera down.
2 cameras.
2 cameras.
Has anybody nicely asked Harry to remove the cameras?
I've asked the mayor 3 times to call his buddy and ask him, and I don't know if he's done it or not.
So we don't know if he.
I went down there
if he
and
knows
talked
that
to
this is an issue. Does he know that
Yeah,
this
he
is
knows
an
that
issue?
it's
I went down there.
So,
And he's not willing.
And I said the residents are concerned that you can, and I looked at it, he can zoom in on people's houses. And his comment was, I don't want to see old fat ladies, that's what he told me.
so we want to take the cameras down, or we terminate them.
So there's no reason for the cameras there, there's no security issue, he's a wise guy, he was a wise guy. So the neighbors handed me the petition, because I'm on the water board, and they said, can you hand this in? So there's 39 people just in that small area. 39 people just in those couple of streets. The mothers are very, very upset that these cameras can see their little kids playing in the yard, running in the backyard with the sprinklers with no clothes on. They're not happy about it. So it's been 3 times. The water board made the contract with this guy. The water board revoked the contract. And the mayor and the attorney seem to want to block it. The attorney says we can't revoke it because we weren't the ones to be able to sign the agreement, but it was the water board that signed the agreement. So if the water board had no legality to agree to this, then the whole contract to me is not valid.
I would recommend.
Never been renewed, it's never been renewed, it's supposed to have been renewed every year. He was supposed to give insurance every year. His lease is like the polar opposite of the Verizon lease. Verizon has many restrictions, Verizon has to go to the planning board, they have to get permits, they pay us.
This did not go to planning board?
Nope, never got permits. He has full access 24/7. He climbs up the side of the water tower with a rope at 70-some years old.
And it's our water tower?
It's the village's water tower. So it's.
No site plan approval?
I would be shocked that our insurance allows this guy to have 24 access climbing up the side of that tower.
So he could zoom in anywhere and look at little kids in the front yard and weird
He
stuff?
zoomed in one neighbor's yard and I could actually see who a person was at how close he could zoom in. I don't know how far away. He showed me what he could. He showed me what he wanted me to show me. I'm not a camera expert. All I know is the people that live in immediate. I mean, the petition's there. There's 39 signatures. And I'm sure if you went throughout the village farther, more people that could see that camera. I worked on Clap Avenue and there was a guy down there that could see the camera and he wasn't too happy that it was there. So.
Can you speak to how those cameras came to go up there?
So there's a lease agreement. I don't know if you have that. I guess you put it.
No, but what the reason for the
No
cameras?
reason.
We don't know because he's never been to our meeting.
Well, no, I went down there. He said there was no reason. I believe John Kozak was talked to somebody on the board. He said he was going to talk to somebody on the board. There's no reason for the cameras there.
I did have a conversation with John Kozak, but I was curious if you were told.
No, he put them up there, and his comment was that the business association could take shots of the village and do whatever promotion of it. And so basically, he said Cindy, so I don't know.
So it was not a security issue?
No security issue.
It's not part of Homeland
I
Security?
beg to differ with you on that point.
Well, the only reason why I asked you is because I also was told that it was the business association that requested the camera be put up there.
So you're willing to tell me that for Harry, who's a private owner of a business in this village, that you're willing to take 39 people, most of them, a lot of them are mothers, and just throw their comments away that they don't want these cameras because Harry needs it for security?
Look.
And they can't see his property.
Look,
He can't see his property. I looked at what he could see.
that's right. After we had that original meeting, Don was invited down to Mr. Turbish's plant by our water operator, John Kozak, and they had a three-way talk with Harry. And in that meeting, he offered to take the cameras down,
No, he didn't.
yet you're the one.
Get the minutes on that he offered to take the cameras down. He showed me what he showed me, and I brought it back to the water board the next meeting. He did not offer to take the cameers down.
He offered, I guess at some point in that
Not to me.
meeting, because I wasn't there, I wasn't
He didn't do
there.
it to me.
It
That's
was,
all I asked for was the cameras.
it was you, Turbish, and
Get the
Kozak.
minutes, get the tape recording. I didn't say that.
I would just like to make a motion, just take the cameras down.
Yep, okay.
I'll second.
You know what else I want to know?
And so-
Why does this,
No, I'm not done talking. You had your chance to talk, and both of you had your chance to talk.
why didn't you come down here with us?
I didn't even know you were
Why
having,
didn't you call them and tell us what you said when you talked?
I didn't know you were even having a meeting.
Why, you knew we had the meeting, I told you we had the meeting after the fact. Why didn't you get on the phone with him?
After the fact.
We had 3 meetings after that, and he never showed up at the meeting. 3
He
times.
didn't get invited
Yes, he did.
to meeting number 2 and meeting
Yes,
number 3.
you said he was busy fixing something, he would be at the next meeting.
On
Okay, he's not at
the
next
second
meeting.
one, he does maintenance. He's got 3 hydroelectric
He couldn't
plants.
send his wife? I asked him to
That
send
was
his
his
wife.
choice.
I asked him to send Sarah.
But I will beg to differ with you because part of it is security for the camera.
Well,
what? Security
listen,
of what?
no, Mayor, don't confuse. That wasn't my position. I didn't say it wasn't there for security. What I said was, I was told by a village employee who was at this meeting that when asked, that individual was told it was just for a fun kind of project, and it was put up and asked to be put up by the business association. That's what I was told when I interviewed the employee specifically to be educated about this. So I'm not saying I came to this, that's what the person told me. He was
We've had this
told.
electric for 20 years.
That's all I was saying. I didn't, just want to be
But-
clear.
Part of the camera issue is the lower camera is for our benefit too.
What
How?
benefit?
We have access to it?
What benefit?
Where's our access to it?
For anybody trespassing.
Trespassing, they've been dumping illegal up there for years and it hasn't benefited this village at once.
The
Has it
guy-
not benefited this village?
If you're manning if you're manning the camera at the time and you see somebody on the piece
Oh,
of property.
Somebody
I'm just
renovated
saying.
their bathroom and dumped it over a cliff one year, and I went up there with a pickup truck and went down there and picked up every piece of tile that they threw over that goddamn cliff.
If you talk.
That camera doesn't do anything up there.
If you talk to your residents, the people walk through that property 24/7 and go down to Main Street. The guy at the end of the hill is actually tired of people going up there all hours of the night. He doesn't know where they're going, where they're coming from, but they just come up out of the woods, they go back down to the woods. If you talk to I went up and talked to him, and he has a concern about that. That was another issue I'm gonna bring up.
Which,
The last house on the right.
the last,
Mary Magda sees them, they all them people see these people walking up and
the
down.
last house on the right, which street?
Hillside, by the water tower.
It recently had been sold, I believe.
The only house that's next to the hill, right next to the water tower.
The old Maruzzi house?
Yes. Guy says people there trespassing 24/7. So if them cameras are that great, why are we watching them? We don't have access to the cameras. Harry's the only one that has access. If we have access to the cameras, there's other things we need to get access to if that's what you want to go. But I'll stay for executive if you want me to, and I'll fill the board on some other things.
All right, so we have a motion by trustee Huber,
And I made a second.
seconded by trustee Ruffin to, what do we want to do? Legally send him a letter to remove the cameras? Is that what you want to do?
Do you want to revisit
You already
this
said you would
rental
take it down.
agreement or remove the cameras?
Hey, take them down. Tell them take it down.
Take it down.
I don't care about his antennas. Nobody cares about his antennas up there. His antennas, I mean, his lease agreement is actually a huge liability for us. He has 24-hour, 7-day-a-week access to our property. He can climb on it whenever he wants. He's tied into our electric. If something happens, we're getting sued. And he even said that. If whoever gets hurt or something happens, everybody gets sued. Okay, well, why would I want the village to be put into that position?
Wait, we have a motion on the floor.
Can I just, before you vote on the motion, I would like to address the board in executive session, board only, as to a couple of legal issues. And then when you come out
Pertaining to this matter?
that should not be discussed in open forum. And after that, the board can come out of executive session if it so wishes and do what they want.
How many years have those cameras been up there?
Nobody knows.
Okay, so the motion did not carry.
Aye.
Well, can I have a motion to adjourn this to executive session?
I would request that the water commissioner McCormick be.
He's not going to allow that.
I don't think it's.
Of course, they want you to sit on boards, these people, and then they want to restrict you on everything, and they want it all back to you guys. Well, why don't you just get rid of the water?
No, when it comes to the
Get rid of the water boards and the planning boards and the zoning boards, and let them run everything.
Let me ask the attorney something. Having Water Commissioner McCormick in the executive session, will he add value to the discussion on your points?
On my points?
You guys ought to quit and let him run the village.
Do you have any more information that you'd like to talk to us in private about? That not an open forum? That you'd like to address us in executive?
Why put me on a board?
I would like to invite him in to address us in executive session, and then before the attorney has to speak to us, then he could be dismissed.
Okay, you can do that when we get to that point.
Well, you got to vote too, yeah.
When you get to that point. Can I have a motion
Okay, so
to adjourn?
this item is tabled to executive session? Is that what we're saying?
I don't know. The attorney.
Can we do it?
I want to grab some information myself.
Can we have a motion to put this in executive
I'll
session?
make the motion that we put this in executive session.
A second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everything's got to be a secret around here.
Mayor, vote.
Agreed.
I vote no.
You're not voting on that motion?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Neither am I, because I think we should do it now. Get it
But
done
we
over.
can come, listen.
We've already talked about it. The names are out there, the property's out there, we already talked about it. Let's just finish it.
I want to know, because this is new to me. So I just learned about this yesterday. I'm not very familiar with it. While I was in the office yesterday, I did see something about contracts and payments. I have some questions that obviously Craig would like to answer in executive about them. Once those are answered, we can come out of executive session and make the same decision. It's not going to go on till next week. It's just going to go on for another 15 minutes.
I would like to hear what Mr. McCormick has to say.
I'll stay for executive if it's pertaining to what you're asking me to do as a water commissioner.
You don't have a vote yet. It's 3-2.
Yeah, I'll put it in executive. Let's do this.
Okay. Carried. If you look at the paper before the petition, Regency Abstract got caught up trying to do a closing, and we failed to provide tax information, which generated a penalty. The treasurer told me if the board waives the penalty, which we really should.
It's against the law to waive a penalty, so we can't waive it.
Not
In our case, you can, because it was our
I'd like
error.
the attorney to advise us on it.
So what happened was, the payments were actually made by Regency in this case, and they were not properly credited to the property. And as a result of not being credited, it's now late.
So the payment was sitting on the treasurer's desk, and they never entered it.
Correct.
And that's why it's late.
That's what
But
I
it was here.
So they made the payment.
Yeah,
They made the payment on time.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They just want you to waive the penalty.
No.
In
I'm
this
not for it.
particular case, it's actually appropriate because
To waive the penalty.
To waive the penalty, yes.
Because they paid.
The payment was made on time. There's no doubt about it.
How much is the payment?
They didn't process it.
This is why we're in the predicament
We all understand.
we
We're
are
on
in.
the same page. Kevin.
We're always getting ripped off in this goddamn village.
Andrew didn't.
Andrew, yeah.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we waive the penalty.
We're done talking about it.
I'll second it.
I made the motion that we waive the penalties on the recommendation
And
of the attorney.
Adam seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor
Nay.
votes aye.
Okay, one nay vote.
2 nay votes. Tilicek's not here.
For recording purposes, it's going to be 1 nay.
And 1 absent?
Yep. Okay. I am in receipt of correspondence from S.W. Johnson. They voted in Robert Ward and Jordan Freer as active members, and Brandon Rumsley changed his status to honorary member. Can I have a motion to accept the correspondence?
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. The monthly updates, police.
All right, well, as you know, we say goodbye to Commissioner Ferry. It was really fortunate of us to have Lieutenant Calabrese, who was immediate to step up to the plate. His first thing was, sure, I'll do anything to help the village, which is commendable and appreciated. So we're in good hands. Luckily, we've decided to move forward. You know, after I spoke with the clerk today, we got on the agenda that we're going to move forward with putting out a request for a new hire for commissioner. So that's exciting. I did get the matrix for tickets in July. Total tickets were 116. From one group of officers, and then there was another matrix with the same date that has a total tickets of 51, so 167 tickets. So pretty good. And that's all she wrote for me on the books.
Okay, finance. I think you talked about that.
Yeah, pretty much nothing to report there.
Highway,
I don't have anything more.
fire and lake.
I have nothing for fire, but on lake, they took out the biochar socks the end of last month, on the 29th. So they're out getting analyzed, studied on, and we should have something back, hopefully, soon.
One quick thing for Lake that I probably am going to pass off to Trustee Huber. I got this from Mr. McDonough, who, as you know, is our Sea-Doo captain. Or We-Do captain. Sorry. It's a list of firms that do the aquatic application for the pesticide.
Yeah, I
because
also got a number, a company that does this stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a whole list of many because we initially went out and we're going to reach out to. Sorry, I was distracted. Reach out to Waverly, but I guess it's really a very specific license that has to do with water, and so.
And it's a restrictive area that you can only use it on.
Right.
You know, square footage wise.
So passed it off, and
Yeah.
whoever's gonna head that, I know that they're very excited. One of the things in the comp plan is the lake and how we can get it better. And when I was sitting in one of the planning meetings where we were talking about the proposed comp plan a week or two ago in preparation for this, this became an important thing. So thank you, Trustee Huber.
On safety, the only remaining safety problem we had was in the Mizera Homestead, and contractor Windheim fixed that, so that's done. We don't have any more building safety issues at the moment. They're all
Terrific.
cleared up. That's it. Recreation, he's out tonight.
Well, we do have on the
22nd, I think.
Second, there's the Halloween trunk or treat, and right,
We're gonna
and
do the pumpkin patch again this year with the little houses, and Baisley's gonna bring his tractor up, bales of hay, corn stalks, they're gonna decorate the field. Charlie's our new recreation chairman, I guess is what he is, and so.
there's going to be free face painting.
Yeah.
DJ
will be there.
DJ.
What else, Scott? Fire truck's coming, right?
Yep.
So.
Okay.
I'll have those
Oh, you know, actually, one other thing. I don't know if this is parks, but I know that Trustee Tilichek was there, pretty involved. The 9/11 ceremony that was Sunday. What's that?
John's the liaison.
John, it was nice.
The 9/11.
It was quiet, you know, being an off year, but it was nice. Hard to believe 21 years. So.
10 a.m. in the morning. 15 people.
Okay,
Just hold it before we move to the next. Yes, Greg.
Back, please, for a minute.
police?
Yeah. I've been having a serious problem on South Mizzier Avenue with parking between the nursing home, parking halfway down the street, all the apartment houses that are, 2-family houses, 3-family houses. I get times when I can't even get in and out of my driveway. And some one of these days I'm going to be trying to take my fifth wheel out or put my fifth wheel in, and I'm just going to, well, I can't get in there, I'm just going to leave it right there in the middle of the road. It's ridiculous. People park on the wrong side of the street. You call the cops, they come down, they tell them to move it. They never give them tickets. People fly down that road, they blow through the stop signs. You never, ever see a policeman down on that road. And it goes on day after day after day after day. People park the cars out there sometimes for a week and a half. It never moves. It just sits there. Is there anything in the village, I know we talked about this years ago, but I don't think we ever did anything with it, on requiring people who have apartments to provide off-street parking for them? And I know some places where they got 10 cars in there, there's four parking places. And there's 10 people driving cars in these 2 apartments. It's ridiculous.
where the zoning law is right now, Matt's got it to 1 parking spot per bedroom. That's it. Or per apartment even. It's bad.
That road's like hillside anymore. That's a bad
Okay,
road.
so the zoning laws right now are so bad. They're gonna build 200 apartments on Shaneyville Road with 200 parking spots, basically.
Yeah.
230. Where are these people? Where's their guests gonna park? What if they have to?
These
The laws are
are
crazy.
places that have been rented for years and years and years and years. One of the nicest things about Mizzier Avenue, I've been over there for over 45 years. People didn't park out on the street. Now half the time you can't get through. You got the FedEx truck, you got the Prime Amazon Prime, you got FedEx, you know, it's just.
You really can't drive through it though?
They literally park right in the middle of the road. You get out of the truck and deliver something, you've got to sit and wait for them to go.
Are people illegally parked, is what you're saying?
Yes, some of them.
Okay.
I called, but the other day, there were 3 cars illegally parked. The cop came down, he looked at the one that was almost directly in front of my house, drove away. That person came out, got in the car and left. The other 2 cars that were illegally parked, he didn't even go to.
Well, I can tell you what we'll do. We'll bring it up in our committee meeting, and I'll have the highway super go out and check the signage to make sure
Another
it's
thing
proper
is-
signage. It's the best we can do.
They park across the sidewalks constantly. Either the policemen aren't going down there, or they're going down there and they just ignore it. And this has been a problem for many, many, many years.
Well, we'll try to bring it to
I
their
was
attention.
mayor, and I was also on the police committee. And there's just one battle every single time we had a meeting.
So you're saying it's the same even when you were in the spot?
Yes. I used to drive over at 2 o'clock in the morning, go walk over, I couldn't sleep, and go over behind Hannaford's and chase the cops that were taking a nap out over there and got them back in the village. And then they'd sit there and deny it. So they lie to you. They don't do their jobs. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
All right.
Unfortunately, Matt didn't win his argument. It's the best thing that could have happened to the village. Get that police force out of here. It just costs us a lot of money and a lot of heartache. That's it. Why I know it's getting late, so.
Thank you very much.
Okay, personnel?
Well, we have a lot going on as far as hiring. As you heard, we are in great need of a treasurer, police commissioner. There'll be some other positions opening soon, so we have a lot of work to do. We really have to dig our heels in and get these things done.
Well said.
I leave in the highway department. You want me to advertise that?
Oh yeah, we got to touch on that. I should just.
You can still
That's-
do it.
I didn't think that we could do that yet because it wasn't official. Is it official?
I got his, for the kid that's
Windhut?
leaving?
Yeah.
Or kid that,
Oh,
Zach,
okay, I thought you meant the.
Zach is leaving the highway department, I'm told, going into the water department.
Not yet, no.
Oh, all right.
Zach
Is just going to
is
pick
a
up water.
highway employee, but is gonna go on the trip, the water
Water
course
school.
up in Cortland, New York for 4 days, 5 days a week. Okay? And then when he comes back, he will still be in the highway department, but he's trained in this, he's taking this water class.
Okay.
I think there's an ultimate that he might get shifted over to water at some point in time.
I get it.
After Tyler leaves, perhaps.
Okay.
I have one question, John. Sorry, before you continue with advertising, are we required to advertise if I believe we currently have a couple candidates from that we previously interviewed and a person that's recommended by the superintendent Podgy for this position that we could possibly re-interview and maybe pick a candidate from that. So do we have to advertise?
I'd say, yeah.
The reason you generally do that is so somebody doesn't come back and say, well, how come you didn't advertise it, you didn't consider me?
Well, that's why I wanted to get.
I think you traditionally do it for that.
I think you should advertise just to not have a
Because this
Cover
is
yourself.
so this is another tricky situation that the board's going to have to look into briefly touching on that all of our employees that work for water and highway are under one designation as a highway laborer. And we really need somebody with water experience, right? But we can't advertise for water experience because the job classification is highway laborer.
The other problem is pay.
Right. So this is where it comes in. We don't advertise for, you know, a water plant operator.
I create positions. I mean, if somebody wants to tell me specifically what it is, I'll send it to the county.
Right, we currently don't have any positions outside of
I know that.
one
Nobody's saying you can
classification.
create it.
Right, is what I'm talking about wanting to do.
I'm willing to create the position.
But but that has to be negotiated with pay scales and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
We don't have but that's just, I'm touching on that because we're looking for people
Well, I think
to go
during
to
your
work.
interview process, you may spot somebody that has that.
Right, I understand, but
And I
it
think
makes
I am
it
aware of
difficult.
one that has that.
It makes it difficult for
Last
advertising
round.
when you really don't have the job classification. So.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Is that an arduous process?
No, I can do it.
Does
I
it
mean, I can do
involve
the
some
county thing, but I can't do the negotiations with the,
We can move forward as we
CBA.
currently moving forward, and so if it's the board's intent to post it out, we'll post it, and then we'll take current candidates and new candidates and we'll interview.
I would even put in there, water experience a plus.
I'll make a motion, we post it out, just get the ball rolling.
I'll second it.
But when you post it out and you have a cutoff date, you're supposed to go by that.
By the
You don't have to
28th.
hire anyone. You can interview all you want. Because you're interviewing doesn't mean you have to hire.
Well, the water plant's gonna be
know
down,
that.
down one guy, so we should have 3 guys, so we should have it done by the 28th. This way, by the time Tyler leaves, we should have somebody, at least by October.
Maybe down 2 guys.
So what's your time frame for posting, Claire?
I can get it, if I get it in tomorrow, I can have it next Wednesday's paper.
Post till next Wednesday, so then if we give it, how long do we typically have, that runs for a week? That
Yeah.
posting?
I usually a
Right,
week.
so that runs for a week on the 28th. So we'll close the applications on the 28th. Is that what we're looking to do?
If you want.
That's what I'm saying, when it's closed and somebody comes afterwards and gets hired, that's not right.
Who's gonna work?
What do you mean? I'm just curious what you mean by that.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Means that they come in afterwards and they didn't apply before the 28th.
Exactly.
Well, I established a deadline for
I know you
to
do.
come in, and when they miss that, they miss it.
Some do.
Oh,
I already have bids out there for different things.
Okay.
with
So it's gonna
deadlines.
go in on the 21st, we're gonna have the applications in by the 28th, and then we could make.
Only given 7 days to
That's it.
to gather applicants?
That's not
Why don't you
many.
have it for the October board meeting? When is that?
So make it.
I think you're gonna have some challenges with the water department coming up, many challenges.
No, what I meant was you're gonna run the ad from the 14th through the 21st, or does it just run once?
One time.
Whatever you guys want, whatever is common practice, I'll go.
Oh, I see. You're saying it's a one-time. The ad just is published once?
Once.
I see.
Well, it can be published a second time.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it's
I
not
can
like
do
in the
14
paper every day or
I can do 14th, 21st, and then you have a board meeting on October 12th. That's 12 days after Tyler left.
You know, now that I understand it's only published once, I defer to whatever you guys want to do. I was thinking it was in the
Then
paper.
It seems like you're gonna go by, the time you get it back on the 12th before that board meeting, you're gonna wait 2 more weeks, then you're into November by hiring somebody, then
No.
it's not gonna take too long.
I gotta find a way to do it quicker.
Okay,
Quicker.
I
I
get
say
it.
do it for the week, by October 28th, it has to be in.
Okay.
For the water board, Pete had actually somebody that he was looking at.
Yeah,
That's why I asked if we needed to
And-
go out.
I'll put it
But it has to go out.
It has to go out, but this guy's qualified from another town, and if he's willing to come up here, I think we should start doing that, because we are not gonna get people for what these rates are starting at. They're just not.
That was the reason trustee Sirati asked.
You know,
All right,
I
so
would-
you're good to, I'll make a motion that, you
Put in on the 14th with a deadline of the 23rd.
I'll second that.
Deadline of the 23rd,
That's better.
Great,
okay?
done.
And who made the motion?
Pat Sidoti, seconded by me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mayor, did you want to offer up any more questions before you vote on executive session?
No, you didn't do sewer,
Sewer's open.
so I'm gonna do sewer.
Oh, okay.
I would suggest the board gets acclimated with the sewer plant down off of Sheaf Road. There is an entrance to it off of Sheaf Road, past the school after you come up Delaware, and you take a right, and it's before the baseball field on the left, and follow the access road. It's about a 1.2 mile access road that takes you right to the sewer plant. The old sewer plant, everyone knew, was at the end of Market Street, and so those buildings stayed, but now there's a force line, so that the line runs under the creek and then up where Jordan Street is, and then there's a force main there, and then it's gravity feed down, and it runs down through the Bowden Park into where the plant is. Because there's going to be a lot of action there coming up, of which we are going to have to pay substantial monies, and so it would be a good idea that you familiarize yourself with it. If you want a tour of the plant, let me know, but if you go down on a Tuesday and a Thursday, usually from 9 to at least 12 or 1, you'll find the administrative assistant there and the administrator, Karen McLaughlin and Patty Ambrose. It's a good idea. At least you can see the sewer plant. Jen, when she has some time and I'm available, I'll take her down. And anybody who has a day off. But that's it.
Okay, we have is that it from everyone? We have a motion to go into executive session, and you have to vote on who's going to go in there.
I make a motion, we go in executive session, and we're bringing Commissioner McCormick in with us.
Can we have a second on that?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
I vote nay.
Carried.
Okay, so we're waiting to go to exec?
Yeah.
Okay.